Greetings. Let's go through setting up your class server account for the first time. You should only need to do this once this semester. First, locate your class ID in eLearning. You should only have one class ID, even if you're in more than one of my classes. So make sure you only use one, and if there is a duplicate, let me know which one you used. The first thing we need to do is change the password I gave you in class. For that we'll use PuTTY. This is on the machines in the lab, or you can download it. Just Google for PuTTY, P-U-T-T-Y. The first time we run it, we'll enter information. And actually, if you're in the labs, you always need to enter information. So the host name is class.docray.org. So class.docray.org. Port is 22. We'll always use port 22 for SSH in this case, and later for secure file transfer protocol. That'll also always be port 22. So class.docray.org, port 22, SSH. You should only need to do this once. All we're going to do is change the password. So let's say open, and it's thinking about it. Okay, so we have a security alert. If you're in the labs, this will always come up. If you use your own computer and you accept this key, you're just basically saying, yes, I trust this is class.docray.org. And so if you trust it, you hit yes. If you hit no, you'll still be able to connect, but it won't store the key. But since I'm on my computer, I'm going to hit yes. And it'll say log in as is the prompt that will come up. It will say log in as. And here you type in your class ID. Okay, hit enter. And it'll say, what is your password? And here type in the password I give you in class. And it may let you in right here like it did me, or it may ask you to change your password depending on when you log in. I've set the passwords to expire after a certain number of days. So, since mine didn't ask me to log in, if it does, then you don't need to type this next command. But if it doesn't, go ahead and type the following command. PASSWD. PASSWD. This will allow you to change the password to something you will remember. I will not know your password. I cannot find out your password, nor do I want to know it. Your password is yours and yours alone. I can see into accounts, and that's because I need to look at your stuff for class, but I cannot change your password. So I'm going to type this. It's going to ask for my current password, and this is the password I've given you in class. It won't show up on the screen, nor will the cursor move, so don't expect the cursor to move. It'll just sit there. Okay? And it says I must wait longer. Alright, so it's making me wait to change the password. You should not get that. If it did not ask me to wait, I would then enter my old and then enter my new password, and then the second time enter my new password. But I just set up the accounts today, and it's not set to expire yet. It should by the time we do it without a problem. So I'm just going to leave that alone for now. Next thing I want to do is we need to set up directories in our account because there's nothing there right now. Okay, so we're going to open up FileZilla. This is also on the lab systems, or you can download it for free at FileZilla. FileZilla, like Godzilla, but with FileZilla. And I'm going to go ahead and type in the host. Now you can save this as a site. You can go up here and say no sites, but you can go to Site Manager and then create a new site. I do that on my own system. In the labs you cannot, so you can do that, but I'm just going to do the quick connect here because that's how we'll most likely always do it in lab. So once again, class.docray.org. Username is your username. Password is whatever password you changed it to. Once again, this is encrypted. No one can get your password. And port, yes, you guessed it, 22. And we're going to say quick connect. And we can watch here. It's going to say open this and see if it works. It should. It'll tell us if something fails here. While we're waiting for that, on the left hand side is your computer or the lab computer site, and then the remote site will be what is on the server. And it looks like, connection timed out. Let me try again here. Oh, it's going to try again for us. Thank you. Alright, and it did work the second time. So on the right hand side we see we're in home, JJones 4242. This will be /home and then whatever your class ID is. And there's going to be a bunch of files over here. I'm going to make this a bit larger so we can see it. And don't worry about deleting. Don't delete any of these and just leave them alone. You shouldn't really need them. We have our file names, file size, file type, when it was last modified. Permissions will become important, and then the owner group should be your class ID, your class ID. You're the owner and it's in your group. The first thing we want to do while we're in this JJones, okay, is for it to be seen online, we have to right click in this area and say create new directory. Very important. If you don't do this, nothing will work from this point on. So I'm going to create new directory, and look, it says /home/JJones, and I'm going to name this public_HTML. Public_HTML. This is basically what the server looks for when it goes on the website with your class ID to look at files in here. Anything inside the public_HTML will be viewable in a web browser, whether you want it to be or not. If you lock it down, there are ways around it, but it won't be automatically available. But if it's in the public, just expect it to be public. So I hit OK, and we now have a public_HTML. Now notice there's no permission set on it yet. We have to do that, and in FileZilla it's very easy. We just right click on the public HTML folder, and we go down to file permissions. Even though it's a folder, we have to do file permissions. So we click this, and we have file attributes. And right now nothing is set, so all of these read, write, and execute. Owner is you, read, write, execute. Group is in the group, in this case JJones, read, write, and execute. And then public is everybody else. Okay. Now I will talk about the numeric value in class, and it's basically for directory 755. Now once I type that in, you'll see that means you as owner have read, write, and execute, which you need. The group has read and execute, and public has read and execute. Always go to 755, excuse me, one too many fives, for the directories, just directories. And I'm going to hit OK. And now if you see this, it now has D for directory, RWX is 7, read, write, execute, R-X, read, no write, and execute, and R-X, read, no write, and execute. Don't let those concern you. Just make sure that it's read, write, execute, read, execute, read, execute, 755. Now we need to create directories inside the public. So I'm going to double click the public, and notice there's no directories here. Now this may differ depending on what class you're in. I would ask if you're in more than one of my classes and you have a class server account to please put a directory with the class in it. So for example, I'm going to create a new directory, and let's say I'm in 2800. Please just use the numbers. So I'm going to do 2800, and let's say I'm also in 3900, and I could also be in 2900. So these are all the classes that are actually using the server this semester. You may be in all three, or you may be in one, or whatnot. So I've created these file folders, and I'm going to use 2800 from this point on, even though you would do the same for 3900 and somewhat for 2900, but we'll talk about specifics in that class. So I'm going to use 2800. Or I could use 3900, it doesn't matter. But what I do need to do is, once again, the file permissions. Now instead of typing the number here, if you forget, but you remember it's read, write, execute, I can select these. Read, write, execute, read, execute, if I can click it, and read, execute. Okay, no write, so we take those off. So it actually says 755. Okay. And it actually set them all to 775, which we don't want. We want 755. And once again, 755. So directories are always 755. Now let me go ahead and I'm just double clicking on these. Now I'm in 2800, and so there's nothing in here. I need 3 folders in here. So I'm going to create my directories in 2800. I would do this in 3900 as well. Labs, and please, case sensitivity, all lowercase. Exercises, all lowercase. And a nice one for myself, practice, just because you want somewhere to practice. So exercises, labs, and practice. Once again, file permissions, this is a directory. So I'm just doing my 755s again. Okay, now I will be putting files inside each of these as necessary as well too. So for example, if I were to go to labs, for lab 1, you got it, lab 1, and then I go through and file permissions. This could all be done via command line in Secure Shell as well, but I'm not expecting you to do that. And then my lab folders would go in here. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file just for now and name it PHP. If it was in just web class, it'd be HTML, right? But it's whatever whatever that might be. And it's there. And for the file permissions for files, it's 644. So read, write, read, read. Okay, and there's nothing in that file right now. Okay, the other thing, so if we look back, let me go back up, and you can see the remote sites here. So I'm in public underscore HTML 2800 labs lab 1. So if I click in exercises, there's nothing there yet. Practice, there's nothing there yet. Of course, I still have 29 and 39. But notice in, for example, 28, I have 2800 exercises, labs, and practice. And within labs, I have lab 1, and there's an index. Okay. Now, I don't know if I can actually edit from here. It's going to open up whatever I have as a editing program, Notepad or whatnot. But it did open it up, and here it is here. This is not Notepad. This is another program I use. But I'm just going to say, you know, hello world. I'm not going to make it any sort of special document and save it. And I want to go ahead, finish editing and delete local file and upload it back. So it's there now. So if we notice, it's in public underscore HTML 2800 labs lab 1. So if I were to go to a web browser now, there's the class server, and I go to my class ID, right? It's actually showing me a directory of all my files, my file directory. So there's nothing in my 39, nothing in my 29. In my 28 though, here are my files set up, and notice it's tilde, and that's up at the top left of your keyboard, jjones4242/2800. There's no public underscore HTML here. I'm going to go to labs, and here's my lab 1, and look at that, hello world. Okay, so tilde jjones 2800 labs lab 1. And so, you know, when I was done with my lab, I would send, you know, this URL into eLearning as well, take a screenshot. Okay, so that's a quick run through. You'll have questions. Please ask them online or in class. That's fine.